Spokane Catholic Diocese is emerging from its sex abuse crisis.
In the past 4 years, more than 180 people have come forward claiming they were sexually abused by priests in this area over the past 60 years. 66, more than one-third, reported they were molested by former priest Patrick O'Donnell. Tonight, for the first time, he confesses to his sins and offers an apology to everyone.
KXLY4's Erik Loney has followed this story for a number of years. He joins us now with this exclusive video.
Yeah, Patrick O'Donnell has been able to avoid reporters' questions for more than 20 years now, and including ours. We went to his house in Western Washington last month, but he didn't answer his door. But now O'Donnell has been forced to answer questions from the attorneys who are suing him. KXLY4 has obtained more than 9 hours of videotaped depositions where O'Donnell frankly and unemotionally admits what he's done. We want to warn you, this story is not graphic, but it could be upsetting to some people.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
In a series of videotaped depositions, Patrick O'Donnell admits he preyed on young boys while serving as a priest in the Spokane Catholic Diocese.
Did you molest the two brothers on the same outing? Yes. When did you molest the other boy?
I believe it was in the summer of 1974.
O'Donnell confesses there were so many boys, he has trouble remembering them all.
During the period 1972 until you left in 1976, approximately how many teenage boys did you have sexual contact with?
I don't know.
Can you give us an order of magnitude, like more than 10?
Yes.
More than 20?
I went through all of this in previous testimony, and I think that I said everybody, but I don't remember ever doing a count. But I'm sure it was more than 20 over all the years.
O'Donnell testified his first sexual experience came as a teenager when he was a freshman in high school at Gonzaga Prep.
I wasn't attracted to sexual relationships with women.
In the following years at Gonzaga University, the seminary, and then as a priest, O'Donnell says he fought his desire to molest boys, but he couldn't stop.
I was not interacting with most of these teenagers so that I could have sex with them at some point in the future.
What were you doing?
Trying to be a good leader and a good person most of the time, and then I would kind of fall.
Okay. Certainly touching 12, 13, 14-year-old boys on the penis or genitals wasn't being a good leader, was it?
No.
O'Donnell used his position as a priest to surround himself with teenage boys. He admits molesting boys on camping and boating trips, and he would even bring boys into his bedroom at the church rectory.
Why were you giving a back rub to a boy with his underwear on?
We were sleeping, or in bed together. We were going to sleep that night.
How old was that kid at the time?
He was only about 12.
Okay, why were you sleeping in bed with a 12-year-old?
In those days, I didn't see that that was wrong.
O'Donnell says he would get dozens of boys naked at local lakes and a church swimming pool.
I know I took a lot of boys up to Mount St. Michael's where there was skinny dipping, and I didn't consider that sexual abuse, but I know that I did get involved in abusing some. One of them is Mr. Barber, who's here. And I'm very sorry that I ever hurt him.
Mr. Barber is Steve Barber. He was abused by O'Donnell for 14 months as a teenager.
I wanted to see him face to face.
Barber attended a November 14th, 2007 deposition, and he says he doesn't believe O'Donnell's apology is sincere.
I mean, if he were sorry, he would have quit. Because I was probably one of the first half dozen kids he abused, that we know of anyway. And then he went on to abuse who knows how many kids. So if he was truly remorseful about what he had done to me, I don't think that the other kids would have been abused.
O'Donnell abused more boys after Steve Barber. When there were complaints, the diocese moved O'Donnell to a new parish. No one ever called police, and O'Donnell was free to molest again.
You always knew it was wrong to sexually contact teenage boys, did you not?
Yes. In some level, I think I always knew that it was wrong.
Well, that wasn't even a close question in your mind, was it? You knew it was wrong, for example, to touch a teenage boy's genitals when you were a seminarian or a priest, correct?
Yes.
In 1986, the diocese sent O'Donnell over to Seattle for treatment, but he admits he never stopped preying on teenage boys and even continued when he returned to Spokane.
You told Bishop Welch about your history of sexual contact with teenage boys?
Yes.
After you told him that, did he tell you not to associate with teenage boys?
No.
Did he put any restrictions on your associating with teenage boys?
No, but in the fall of 1980, he, I don't think it was a restriction, but he had me go back into counseling.
O'Donnell testified he stopped molesting kids in 1980 and says he hasn't abused since.
Was there anything in particular that led you to stop having sexual contact with teenage boys in 1980?
I just had some sort of a realization. It just kind of hit me. I don't know exactly what led to it. I think part of it might have been that I came pretty close to dying that year, but otherwise maybe just I finally realized when these parents complained that this was just really wrong and I needed to stop.
O'Donnell was finally suspended from the priesthood in 1986. Last month, Bishop William Skillstead sent Steve Barber and other victims of priest sex abuse a letter of apology. The letter says Skillstead and his predecessors failed to notify the civil authorities and failed to warn parents, children, and the community of the dangers presented by sexual predators who are in the ranks of the church. At the end of his November deposition, O'Donnell finally offered his first public apology.
But I just want everybody to know I'm very sorry for my misbehavior, my bad actions, and for anything that hurt or might have hurt anybody, victims, other people involved in any way. And I feel very bad, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to live my life as best I can, and I'm trying to make my contacts with others something that helps them to become better people. But I'm very sorry for my actions of the past years.
A quick correction there. He was actually sent to therapy in Seattle in 1976, not 1986, as reported in the story. Now, during the depositions, O'Donnell did deny molesting some of the men who accused him. Now, tomorrow, working on a story about what O'Donnell is doing now, where he's working, and what the authorities think of him living in their area now.
You've been following this case for such a long time. There weren't any huge revelations in this, were there for you?
No, I think this is what we've all heard this or read this before, seen it before in court documents, him admitting it. But I think one of the reasons we did the story is just because I think it's so different to actually see him.
It is.
And to see his reaction and how unemotional he is when he just frankly admits what he did. And that's why we felt it was important to tell the story.
All right. Look forward to tomorrow's. Erik, thanks.